la la. Oh, na na. La 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 la. La. The source of power of our people, with love on our right, love on our left, all around us, friends in these boxes, that's right. Lefanai, Uriel, Me'achorai, Al Roshi, Al Roshechem, Shchinas Kel. One more time, sing. Dai, 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 dai. Lie, 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 lie. Friends, welcome. Good Shabbos, as they say from some parts of our lineage, Shabbat Shalom in other parts. A merry Sabbath felicitation to each and every one of you as we gather together. Angels, love, healing, stopping, reflecting, slowing down. So blessed to be here tonight with Chazan Basia Schechter, with Rabbi Diane Kohler-Esses, and with Maya Zinko, as we lead all of you, and you join us in Tefillah and in Torah. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Diane.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody. This week is the portion, the Parsha of Revelation, of the Israelites standing at Sinai. And as I was thinking about this, I thought of ourselves as seekers, of wanting so much to hear the divine voice, of wanting to hear, to connect to something beyond ourselves. And sometimes as seekers, I think we try much too hard. We're so desperate for that connection that we're just yearning and striving in the spiritual sphere. And I wonder if revelation, at least in our times, comes through gentleness, through letting go, through surrender, that's when God, the divine, shows her voice, her face, and allows her voice to be heard. So now, let's soften our hearts, our minds, our eyes, our ears, and ask, oh, so gently. And just say, please, to the divine, to the awesome one, to show, to reveal her face as we sing Higalena.
Gane, 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 na. Ufros, ufros, chavivi, alai, etzuka. Suka Shlomo Gane, 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 na, froz, Javi, alay. It's Sukkah, Shlomecha.
Gale, 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 na, froze, froze, habibi, alay, froze, froze, habibi, alay. It's Sukkot,
Let's go. Lechu, lechu niranina l'Adonai Naria letzoi sheino nekadem afanav besoda bezemiros narialo אשר לא היה מיועץ, בשת ידיו יצא בו להשתחווה. היום אם בקולו תשמעו, תקשו לבבכם, כי מבאו יום עשה במדבר, אשר ניסוני אבותיכם וגלום.
40 שנה הכות בדור ואומר עם טועה לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי באפי אם יבואו למנוחתי שירו לאדוני שיר חדש שירו לאדוני כל הארץ שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו ספרו בגויים כבודו לכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני ומולו מאוד נורא הוא על כל אלוהים כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים ואדוני שמיים עשה והדר לפניו ותפארת במקדשו Havul Adonai b'shlichot amim Havul Adonai kabel ba'oz Havul Adonai kivot shemo Zehu mecharuvo l'chatzrotav Shtachavul Adonai be'adrat kodesh Chilu mipanav kol haaretz V'agayim Adonai malach Haftikon tevel bal timot Yadinamim Sharim, Yismechu Hashamayim B'togel Haaretz, Yiramayam Umilo Yalo Sadai B'chol Hashem Yiranenu Kol Ateyah Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishbot Haaretz Lishbot Tevel B'tzedek Yami B'emunato Yai-ya-da-da-da-da-da-yai Hai-ya-do Ya-da-da-da-da Hai-ya-da-da-da-da-da-yai Na-na-na-na Hai-ya-da-da-da Hai-ya-da-da-da-da-da-da Hai-ya-da-da-da Hai-ya-da-da-da-da-da-da Hai-ya-do Ya-ya-da-da-da
Mizmor leDavid, Avul Adonai b'nei Elim. Please rise if you're able. Havul Adonai, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai kavod shemo, Ishtachavu Kol Adonai Yachya Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kaddish, Kol Adonai Cholel Hayalom, Vayechasov Ye'arot, Uveichalo Kulo Merkavod, Adonai Lama V'yashav, Yishev Adonai Melech Le'olam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten, Adonai Yevarech et Amo V'shalom, Hanai Hanai, Hanai Hanai, Hayara, Hanai Hanai, Hayara, Hanai Hanai, Hayara, Hanai Hanai.
Dai da dai dai ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya da 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 ya da da da. You may be seated, everyone. Each Shabbat we chant either in its entirety or maybe a line or two of this remarkably cryptic, beautiful, mystical, incantational prayer known as Ana b'koach. Please, God, with your koach, with your strength, with the power of your right hand, of your loving kindness, untangle our tight spots. And the phrase Zochrei Kiddushatecha appears towards the bottom of the prayer, towards the end of the prayer. Turn to us, you who remember that we are the rememberers, the ones who remember the holy. We are the ones who hold the holiness in view. And we are the ones who recall it as often as possible in our own lives and in our weeks, and specifically on the first Kadosh moment in Jewish history, the moment of Shabbat, by Kaddish Oto. So whatever the remembrance of things past, whatever is the way into the remembrance of the holy, the sacred, that dimension that is transcendent and serves its function to remind us of that which lies beyond us and within us, and bring that to mind. Shabbat was the first exhale in a divine speech that was 6 days of speak, create, speak, create, speak, create, and vayinafash. And God rested from speaking, rested from creating. We too take a deep breath together, and vayinafash, we exhale. with all that exhaling represents for you in your body and in your heart at this moment as you release and surrender the week, that we can make its way into all of our musculature and into our frame, and just the whole mind body can be held by the weak and the weakliness. And so inviting you to rest in a couple more of these deep breaths as we hold silence for 2 more minutes, as you bring some more Shabbat into the body and release a little bit more of whatever it is that you brought with you tonight that needs to be set aside, let down. And as you breathe in Shabbat, and gently release the week, softening, allowing the eyes and the ears, the scalp, all of them to become a little bit more spacious, a little bit softer, a little bit more released, without any effort on your part, just a gentle, tender bringing attention to as we inhale together. And so we can sit together, stand together, whatever is your comfortable posture, just as long as there's room to listen to the poem of the week by Rabbi Color Esses and the entree into the Chadudi.
Tomorrow's sacred reading is all about revelation, all about standing at Sinai. It's the contract, the deal between the divine and Israel. Now, you would think after having been enslaved for so long, the Israelites would be ready to hear God's voice. But instead, they hear the commandments and they basically flip out. They say to Moses, "Don't let God speak to us lest we die." They think they're going to die and they stand back. And I've been thinking about that sort of dance of like closeness and distance, intimacy and standing far away, and thinking that it's not just the dance of the Israelites. We all come close and then we step back. Intimacy can be so scary. Standing close can be so frightening. So we take a few steps back. So this week, I write a poem from the Israelites' perspective, these just freed slaves, and it's called Sinai School Rules. We're seeing the sounds, standing on shifting ground, still feeling bound. It's the great reveal, the real deal, the almighty seal that has us quaking, shaking, aching for the unreal. Hearing voice without end, the blast of the horn, we're torn, we're not rejoicing, we're trembling, dissembling, we're not remembering anything. We open, we hear the words spoken, the mountains are smoking, the divine says, I, Anochi. We swoon. Can we exist, persist before this booming, looming voice, or is God's voice dooming? We were just slaves, beaten, battered, our capacity shattered, for we long for daylight, for regular sight, normal might. We say, Mo, no, 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 don't let us die. The Almighty will surely kill us, the voice drilling right through us. Keep El Shaddai far away. From our sway, from our daily play, we pray for the voice to stop. Stop. Mo, come down from the top. Come down right now. Be with us. Hold our hand. Don't leave us alone, alone, alone in this endless sand. We heard the voice. The voice said, I. One day we will have the might, the sight, the capacity, the audacity, perspicacity to respond, to sing, to shout, to say, Hineni, here am I. Here we are. It's a fact. Come back. Don't stay away.
Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela mor v'zachor v'dibor echad hishmiyanu el ameyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad shemot feret eletila echad odi lekrat kala nei Shabbat nekabela echad odi lekrat kala nei Shabbat nekabela lekrat Shabbat lechu v'erecha כי מקור הברכה, להירוש מקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבתי לך. חדודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת הקבלה. חדודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת הקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה ומיסי מתוך כפיך רב לך שבט ימי גבך והוא יחמול עלייך וחדודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה חדודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה התנער farkuni lefshi de tefartechani al yari shai beit alachni korban nafshi geola lechadodi lekrat kala nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi lekrat kala nei Shabbat nekabela Edoreli Kiva Horechum Yuri Uri 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 Shir Daberi Kevod Adonai Alayich Bigla Lechadodi Lekrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechadodi Lekrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Chadodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Chadodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela
Celebrate breaking through. Oh, rejoice. Zanvasi, you have so many voices. Please rise if you're not already standing and dancing.
כאן בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני העם סגולה, בואי חלה שבת המלכה, היי ראי לך דודי, היי ראי לקראת כלה, היי פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלו.
As we stand together here, just look around this room. So many people in our community and beyond it who are needing healing tonight. So we pray for them. Find their names on the screen in front of you. Also bring your own breath to bear on the uttering of names, holy, beautiful names. Healer of the broken-hearted, binder of our wounds, counter of uncountable stars. You know who we are. Harofei lishurei lei, ומחבש לעצבותם, מונה מספר לכוכבים, כולם שמות זכרה. Hallelujah. body, heart, mind, and spirit for all of our loved ones. And let us all say, Amen. Shabbos, everyone. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Heilige, good Shabbos. So beautiful to be with so many of you here in this space. And so beautiful to welcome those of you here for the first time. We are so thrilled to be with you on Shabbat. So thrilled to be with you. And in a moment, we'd love to know if you're here for the first time, if you're a guest, if you're like somebody told you, or you're from around the corner or from way around the world. The chat will be open in a moment for that kind of welcoming. But before we do that, we're going to have some housekeeping to do just to let you know about some wonderful resources that are available within this beautiful, robust, strong community. So the community announcement should be on the screen in front of you. Our executive director, the wonderful, inimitable Jeffrey Kahn, is with us as well. So we're going to do some announcing of some things that are going on. So tomorrow morning, Jeffrey, we have our usual Shabbat lineup tomorrow morning. Don't just come for Friday night. Stay for Shabbat. Stay over. It's like, okay, stay for Shabbat, you know. Baby, it's cold outside, but Shabbat is here tomorrow. So Shabbat tomorrow morning. We have 9 o'clock open book, our Parsha class tomorrow morning, followed by services at 10 o'clock. Registration, of course, is required tomorrow morning.
And next week we will also have Shabbat services, but in addition, we are going to have a special evening. Our inimitable Rich Orloff, who is a poet, who's an actor, who's a writer, who's amazing, who's really funny, and who's really serious at the same time, has created an incredible play. It's going to be performed live, featuring several of our own Romemu members, and it is bracketed by an incredible evening. Starts with Havdalah, ends with a Revaya, so it's an event not to be missed. That's next Saturday night, not this Saturday night.
Well, guess what, everybody? It happened. Last night's event, if you were there, those of us who were there last night, we won't ever forget it. It was a remarkable evening that came to fruition because of the absolutely tireless work of Rabbi Mir Rivera and Tal Siegel and Lauren Jacobs and the entire social justice group, who brought us a remarkable panel on youth justice and criminal justice reform with the revered and inspirational Ruth Messenger, along with Professor Kara Suval and some incredible members of the Music on the Inside program of our wonderful member Alina Bloomgarten. So that last evening's panel will be it's on our Facebook page. So check it out, watch that panel, and save the date for the next event in this series on immigration reform on Refugee Shabbat, Sunday, February 21st.
Yeah, it was really an incredible event. I really encourage you to watch it. And I really noticed, a lot of times people come for a part of an event, and then you notice the numbers, they drift off toward the end. People showed up, almost 100 people on both on Zoom and on Facebook, and no one left. I saw the numbers stay. It was really riveting. So it's a great thing to see. And moving on, we're almost at Purim, so save the date. You may see some of these.
Just 1 second, Jeffrey, just so people can see the picture on the right. That's just so everybody knows, that's your sister. Isn't that your sister?
Oh, yeah. My twin sister. I hope she comes to town again. I can't promise that Purim is going to look like this year, unfortunately, but maybe if we can do all this in our own Zoom windows. So stay tuned. It's coming. Get ready.
Well, I also want to say that we're so excited that Sandra Barnhart is going to be doing some comedy for us on Purim night too. So people should save the date on that. Just a little sneak peek on some very funny people that are going to be helping to bring some levity into this moment. Yeah, it's wonderful. So as you can see, there are important links and resources about COVID-19 vaccination. We're trying our best to give this information as it comes to us and get it out to all of you in the community. So those links and are going to be on the website, and more information, join our mailing list. We're going to be sending things out as well, plus the lifelong learning that's coming and opens next week.
And of course, we keep announcing this, but we can never say it too much. If you need help, or someone who does in any way, just to talk or any help with anything, we have an incredible Chesed committee. I know it's incredible because I live with one of the chairs, and I know all of them, and I know the volunteers. So please feel free to reach out. They do a lot of work. There are a lot of people that they're helping. So if you know someone or if you need help, you know where to turn.
So from our announcements to just announcing new members, new guests here, new attendees. So good to see everybody. And it's amazing how all of you fit into my small office here. It's just every week it just blows my mind. How did that happen? Look at this. Hey, R, come see. We have 200 people in this small 6x6 area. It's really remarkable. Who's here for the first time? Anybody here that would like to say hello? Anybody in the chat area? It would be lovely to say hello to you, welcome you for the first time, and feel free, any of those who are, there's so much in the chat. Goodness gracious, look, and I got to get to it. Look at this. Hurry up. Get to the chat. Oh, Emma, hello from Ohio, and hello from Washington Heights to Elliot Schreiner Khan, and Susan Weissman from St. Louis. Emma's from Ohio. Oh, our dear friend Janice, we miss you, Janice. We got to come back and sing with us. And by the way, I just was singing. Ilyana Light was here last week, Janice, and she was singing "Shelter Us in Peace," right? And I kept thinking that I heard it was you. You were the one. So good to see you. And Christina and Ari, whom I met yesterday for the first time in Maryland. So good to have you here on Shabbat. Welcome, my friends. Bob and Emily, you guys are not first timers. Oh, you're just welcoming Janice. You guys are regulars, wonderful regulars that are here. And let's see, anybody else? I'll take one more moment. Okay. I don't think I see anyone else. We're gonna make our way into Ma'ariv, into the evening prayers. We invite you to please rise if you're able. As we stand together at the beginning of our evening service, we remember that to pray in community is to call and be responded to. That calls don't go out into the ether without a response, without a reciprocity. That's what it is, the divine call, the human call. When we say, "Are you there?" we say, "Yes, I'm here." To be a part of a community is to just show up as you are, who you are. And in this particular community, we love you and the way that you love and the way that you believe and where you come from and the colors of your skin and the colors of your mind. How you show up in the world. There's room in this community and in all of God's place for all of humanity to be seen and loved and known. So I call to you, Baruch Hu. Es Adonai, Hayadadadadai, Hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Hay, ay, ay, ay.
Na 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 na. You may be seated as we make our way to Shema. Noticing the breath as it comes and it goes. Noticing the mind as it too moves, always fluid. To the great one who weaves being, darkness and light, all of the shifting impermanence that we are immersed in. Rucha at Shechina, Elateinu l'cholam, שבדברם מעריבה רבים, בחוכמה פותח השערים, ובתבונה משנה מחליבה את הזמנים, ומסדרת את הכוכבים במשרותיהם, יקיע כרצונה וראיתם לה. אלה חיה וקיימת, תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוכה עד השכינה, המעריבה, הערבים, איי 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 לי לי, לה לה לי 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 לי, לה לה לי לה לי לה 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 לה, אהבת עולם. We hold hands across time and space with ancestors, with great-grandparents and grandparents and those who came before, all of them reaching out, attaching themselves to us at this moment as we gather in love, as we harvest the various seeds of love that have been planted through our lives, teachers, friends, moments, frames. We bring them all together and remember that even as the day passes away into evening, love remains. Love remains when our eyes close at night, and when they open in the morning, love remains. Avat olam beit Yisrael amchavtam, Torah mitzvot chokim mishpatim asamim madakein, Eloheinu v'kuminu shuv. Ki hei mechayenu yorech yameinu, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, ואהבתך עד ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיה אם שמעת שמואל מסיים children of the world In the privacy of your home, in the hands of your son, may they help you relax and actually to be productive. דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותיו ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית ותורתם וזכרתם את כל מזוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם לא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר הייתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם לכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
May we embody the emunah, the faith of the people Israel as they stood at the bottom of the mountain, as they stood on the banks of the seas. May we embody that faith when we sing as they sang. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilo so sad I fell malach usecha Rauvanecha Ibokeyayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam Israeli Anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed v'nemar kifad Adonai es Yaakov golo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai
Shemo.
Kal Yisrael.
Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. As we pray for peace and shelter and tranquility, may there be spread for all the children and for all of those tonight a sense of safety and connection. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Spread over us a canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise if you are able. Shomeru b'nei Yisrael es ha-Shabbat la'asos es ha-Shabbat Rosam Benisolam Beni وبين إسرائيل عوسي לעולם מששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ויש הארץ וביום השביעי שבס וינפש.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בימד יברכירותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ליומי עולמי יתברך.
ברח וישתבח ויספר וישרמה ויתנשא סעדר ויסלה ויסלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן קבל חסה נשירסה תושבחסה ונחמסה נמירן מעלמה and let us say Amen. Invite all of you into moments of reflection, moments of silence, moments of your own words as we have our private moment now with the divine as we understand the divine. And in a few minutes, we'll come back together.
Olam chesed yibane, da-da-dai, ya-dai, ya-da-dai. Olam chesed yibane, da-da-dai, ya-dai, ya-ya.
You know, friends, tomorrow morning is a pretty remarkable morning. Tomorrow morning, each and every year, on the Parsha called Yitro, the Parsha that is named, the portion of the Torah that is named for the father-in-law of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, has within it the most remarkable, trippy, beyond trippy story of revelation. Supernatural revelation, not the kind that you read on the back of a Celestial Seasonings tea bag, but the kind of revelation that is Charlton Heston-like, right? Fire and brimstone, the whole pyrotechnics of revelation. Revelation tomorrow morning, as it happens every year, signals, of course, the most important moment in the Torah up to this moment. Torah, which is full of stories of patriarchs and matriarchs, complicated family dynamics, a story of slavery, a story of a people who are hopeless and despairing, who are redeemed, who just last week made it through the impossibility of a sea that was raging and threatening to the other side. When they broke out in song, they arrive at Revelation every single year. And the name of that portion of the Torah that is holding that ultimate moment, that arrival at Sinai, is named for a non-Jewish priest from the town of Midian, the country of Midian, who happened to be the father-in-law of Moses the Redeemer. Each and every year, I mention this because it's just remarkable to think about the Torah of Jethro that preceded the Torah of Sinai, the Torah of the stranger, the Torah of the one who came from the outside to join, whose Torah, whose advice, as those who know the narrative tomorrow morning, whose advice to his son-in-law Moses on how to lead a sustainable organization has withstood the test of time and helped many a leader learn to delegate. That Torah of Jethro is the very embodiment of a maxim from our tradition known as Derech Eretz Kadmala Torah, the Torah of common decency and of the everyday precedes, both in priority and in chronology, the Torah of the supernatural, religious, spiritual dimension. Before there was the Buddha, maybe there was just be nice to your brother, Gautama. Before there was Moses, maybe there was just thank your father, Moses. Derech Eretz Kadmala Torah. Common sense is not so common, but it is incredibly important. And so I want to bring us not to the beginning, though, of the Parsha and its radical teaching about what comes before Torah, but take us to the end of tomorrow morning's Torah portion, where we learn a similar lesson, but in a much more interesting, I think, way. At the end of the Revelation story, at the end of the fire and brimstone and the terror that Rabbi Kolaresa spoke to, this desire of the Jewish people, the Israelites who stood at Mount Sinai to stand back in this game of intimacy with the divine, it was overwhelming for them. The Torah will bridge that Sinai revelation with a very strange series of verses, a series of verses that don't focus on revelation, but focus on sacrifice. Focus on how we build altars. The Torah will tell us at the end of chapter 20 tomorrow morning in the book of Exodus, be careful that you make altars that are made of earth. If you decide to make an altar that is made of stones, make sure that you don't use steel or any other sharp object to hew those stones. They have to be organic, whole stones, unblemished, untainted by human instruments. And then this very strange verse, which is the final verse of tomorrow morning's Torah portion, and acts in a way as not the entrance into revelation, but its exit. Lo ta'aleh b'ma'alot al mizbechi. Moses tells the people in God's name, do not ascend on the steps. Do not have steps. On the way up to my altar, Moses finishes the Parsha with this, don't have steps. Asher tigale ervatcha alav. Because in stepping up towards the altar, you will expose your nakedness. So, odd, right? You know those two-step jumps when you're running up the stairs to get somewhere or go to the train, or none of those two-step jumps, not even one step. When we're ascending God's altar, the Torah tells us as we exit the Parsha, the portion of Revelation, make sure that you use only ramps. Don't take too big a step, because in making that big step, you expose your undergarment, you expose your nakedness. This verse directly, of course, is speaking to the priests, those who actually were the stewards in the temple or in any other sacrificial context, those who would actually have the job to ascend the steps. Make sure that those priests, as they bring the offerings from the people up to the altar, that they walk up a slow ramp. Don't take big steps. The Torah here, in the heart of the 5 books of Moses, in the heart of Revelation and the Decalogue, we don't learn the lesson that the Torah is about to teach us in the name of the rabbis from an explicit thou shalt be or thou shalt not be. The rabbis are to find in this particular framing a remarkable teaching. Rashi, the great medieval exegete, notices that there's a bit of a problem here. He notices that the truth of the matter is, Rashi says, and you can't believe that this is part of Torah, Rashi says that really there's no erva, there's no nakedness here that could be exposed, because everybody knows, Rashi says, that priests wear underwear. One needn't worry about really what's underneath. There isn't really an exposing happening, says Rashi. But then he says something else. He says, let me bring you a midrash. Let me bring you a rabbinic commentary that predates me, Rashi says. It's from the Midrash Tanchuma, it's from the Yalkut. Something about what this commandment on having a ramp is really speaking to. He says, Mikol makom, one should always be noheg bam minhag not bizayon. That even if there is really no exposing that happens, Rashi says, the rabbis say that one has to be conscious of not treating the stones and the path on the way to the altar with disrespect. There is an argument to be made here for how we should treat humans. Uma avanim halalu she'en bahem da'at lakpid al bizyonan. Just if it's true, what with these stones, who don't have feelings, who can't actually feel shame, who don't know that we are quote unquote disrespecting them, the Torah said, be careful not to expose yourself to these stones. How much more so, say the rabbis, should we be careful about how we treat human beings? Amratar hu'il v'yesh behem tzorech lo tinhag behem minhag bizayon chavercha shehu b'dimut yotzercha umakpid al bizyono al achas kama v'kama. The rabbis, in this cryptic last little verse, in a portion that deals with the revelation, with the intimacy with God, with experiences that one might only have on a retreat, or one might only have when has some plant medicine, some altered experiences of deep insight into the nature of reality and humanity. We don't find in those 10 utterances or 10 commandments a commandment to be tender, to be kind, to be respectful. Later commentators find the entire programmatic agenda of the Jewish moral and ethical improvement system within those 10 utterances, but it isn't found there. It isn't found even in the Yitro moment in the beginning of the Parsha, in Jethro's bringing this common sense to his son-in-law. We find it in a strange moment where the Torah tells us that as you ascend towards your goal, make sure that you don't step over, disregard the means towards that end. Make sure that you're not migale erva, that you're not exposing yourself inappropriately to stones. And then the rabbis say, wow, if the Torah was so makpid, it was so important for the Torah to teach us to be respectful of stones. One who studies this would say, wow, how much more so do I have to think about how I treat human beings? The ones whom I might use as stepping stones towards my goals. The ones who are in front of me and around me, who are seen as inessential. Those who seem as though they are just means towards my ends. The ways that we commodify the human beings that are in our midst. Bizayon. To treat someone with bizayon is embarrassing, to shame them, to treat them without dignity. Steps have feelings too, apparently, and treating the path to the holy as if it didn't matter in some way tells us about how we treat human beings and ends that we want to reach through them, how we commodify our fellow human beings, how we it them and thing them. Sometimes I feel, of course, like if all we do is treat people and places and things with respect, our world would be a lot better, wouldn't it? But bizayon is a business. The way of bizayon we learned last night at the remarkable Youth Justice and Criminal Justice panel, where one of the panelists talked about the organization Worth Rises, that seeks to end the commodification of those who are incarcerated in our country, where objects are more important than people, where bottom lines are profit and just getting to that venerated altar. How else do we make sense of a world where solutions to critical problems like child poverty that was brought out in Nicholas Kristof's article just this past week in the New York Times, and solvable problems like child hunger in this country are preventable but lack a collective will to do anything about them? How is it that we treat steps, marble, and thingness without bizayon sometimes, but don't make that leap to say, if we treat objects with respect and care, how much more so should we treat human life and human dignity? There can be no Torah, this portion tells us. No revelation and no truth without the truth of kindness. Without the Torah shel chesed al leshonah that Proverbs speaks about, there can't be revelation. We all know folks who are religious and spiritual, but they lack a basic decency or a quality of chesed, of loving kindness, towards those who don't agree with them, those who don't dress like them, those who don't love like them, those who don't look like them, those who don't speak like them, those who don't gender like them or pronoun like them. We know it. Those people would be much more respectful towards the stones, as it were, on the way to their altar than they are to the people on the way to work. But the Torah says no, there is no Torah, no revelation, no truth without the Torah of kindness, the Torah of derech eretz. To be considerate is to be holy. To be thoughtful is to be holy. To treat even things that are in our purview with some modicum of respect, and especially human beings with decency and dignity, that is holy. When we treat the world around us and the people around us with respect, then we're in honor of God. That, of course, is the path to the divine. When we slow down, when we're careful about how we walk towards our goals, when we realize that the path itself is the way, as Chazan Shechter often sings, there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. There is no way to justice. Justice is the way. There is no way to dignity. Dignity is the way. There is no way to profit unless we all profit along the way. When we recognize this, then we are, in some profound way, we are the closing verse of Revelation. Do not take your arrogant steps. You're jumping over, you're stepping on and over in order to reach your goals. But remember that kindness is not only the end, but it is the means too. When we remember that, the Torah says that's how you step up. When you step up with care, that's truly stepping up. When you step up with kindness, that's truly stepping up. When you build a world of loving kindness with the means known as loving kindness, then and only then will you build an altar for goodness and the truth that Olam Chesed Yibaneh. So tonight's Torah is to remember that every step you take and every move you make is an opportunity to treat the world around you as a shrine to love, as a shrine to holiness, and in so doing, build a world of love. Please rise if you are able.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, ay, 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 ay. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, ay, 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 ay.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadai, yadadai, yadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadai, yadai.
We will build this world from love. Yadadai, ay, 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 ay. You must build this world from love.
Yadadai, yadai, yadadai, yadai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, yadai, yadai, what will happen, Chazan Schechter?
Then God will build this world from love. Da da da, ya 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 da 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 da. V'nemar v'haya Adonai melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu.
Hayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo shema echad.
On that day, Umacha Hashem dimami al kol panim. Tears that many of us have cried over the last couple of months for loved ones. We raise their memory. Many members of our community are within the first 7 days of mourning, and the Shloshim, the 30 days as well. And so we hold all of them in our hearts as we prepare to stand with them in a moment for the mourner's Kaddish. Hinenai nai na nai nai. Hinenai na nai nai. Hinenai nai na nam. Da 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 da. Hinenai na nai na nam. Hinenai na nai na nam. Diddy nine 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 nine. Diddy nine 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 nine. Diddy nine nine. Diddy nine 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 nine. Diddy nine 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 nine. Diddy nine 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 nine. Diddy nine high. Nana. I have a personal connection with the great Rabbi Avram Twersky, Alav Shalom, who passed away this week, who was very much a part of my own personal evolution, my own personal healing, and for so many thousands and thousands of others. And we lift him up. And his incredible song that Chazan Basia told us earlier today was his own, right, his own melody. He wrote this melody that became so popular. So it went like this. It went Hoshia et amecha uvarech et nachalatecha urem 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 v'nasem urem v'nasem adolam. So I invite all of you who are in mourning to please rise and be v'nasem, to be lifted up, and all of those who are of the custom to stand for the mourners as they recite the mourners Kaddish, remembering loved ones. We bring all of the souls into our hearts and our minds. And we say together, Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabam, bi'alma diverachi rusei v'yamlich malchusei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'izman kori v'imeru, amen. Yehei shmei rabah, Mivorach le'olam u'le'olmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechemata damiran be'oma v'imeru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav וברחמיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, and let us say Amen. Hayya la 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 ya la 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 la. Hi nai na 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 yalai did nai 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 did nai 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 nai. Good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Shabbos.
All right, everybody. So beautiful to dive in together tonight with all of you. Thank you. We have a couple of thank yous, but hey, into this cup of blessing, my friends, some kindness. We'll drink a cup of kindness yet. So place in this cup of kindness, into this cup of, if you treat your car one way, don't treat it. It's like throughout I'll tell you, friends, as I was learning that midrash the last couple of days, I said to a friend of mine, I said to him, did you ever see the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off? He said, did I ever see Ferris? I said, Cameron's dad, right? Treated this beautiful car, had a whole, this wonderful, he housed the car in this beautiful shack, took care of it every day. Unbelievable. I'm so curious where people will take this midrash tonight. If you take it with you into your meals, asking ourselves if we are to others as we are to our things. right? If we are to others as we are to our things, and even more so, how we could be more towards others, much more, both internally and as a community, but also in the broader world at large. There are some very profound implications of doing this kind of synoptic chart that the rabbis want to say, well, don't treat the stones on the way up to the altar in one way. And certainly, if you're going to treat them with respect, treat human beings with respect. I mean, for goodness sakes, be zayon. So into this cup of blessings, some remarkable human beings. First of all, a big yasher koach to our davening team, to Rabbi Koller Esses for your divrei Torah and for your poem. To Chazan Schechter, thank you, Chazan Batsi Schechter, for your music and for your heart, and for your davening to Maya as well. Into this cup of blessing, of course, we have an incredible team behind the scenes at Romemu Begadol Bechlal, and they're coming up on the screen in a moment. So many wonderful thank yous to the entire Romemu squad. They're on the way. I can just tell you, we have a big staff. And so if their pictures come on, okay. If they don't, thank you to all the staff, and especially to those who are here in the Zoom room tonight. Rebecca Feldman, Eliza Rivka from Costa Rica, and Rebecca from the Upper West Side. Thank you so much for holding down this wonderful community. Into this cup of blessings, everyone. Oh, you know what? I want to make one last thing. I want to shout out to the Sacred Conversations Committee. The Romo community, we announce this every last couple of weeks. We're going to be beginning this coming week a series of gatherings to cull the wisdom of this community. A huge yesher koach to Karen Goldstick and Karen Fried, and to Marsha Meislin, and to Danny Friedlander, and to all of those involved, as well as facilitators for the launch of these wonderful sacred conversations. So into this cup of blessing, all of them. Tomorrow morning again at 9 o'clock. And in Brooklyn, Chazan Schechter will be with Rabbi Perlo in Brooklyn. And I also, by the way, I think that I didn't maybe mention this about last night. We thanked so many people, but I think I wanted to thank Alina Bloomgarden for music on the inside. Anyone who knows Alina in our community knows someone who is so full of ruach, of spirit, of love, of kindness. Torat chesed al leshona, like she dances kindness. And I think that, Alina, we thank you for your service to the community, both in teaching and also especially in what you going into prisons and helping to bring humanity. Something you said last night was so touching to me, and I think to many of us who were there. The dehumanization that happens in our criminal justice system, or as one of the panelists said, our criminal injustice system. One of the great offenses, of course, is that it begins with a deep dehumanization of those who are incarcerated. And I said out loud that we needed to rehumanize what is dehumanized. And then Alina said that when music comes into those places, people sit down with an instrument and they start to play, and it levels everything. It's just music happening in the room and harmonies. And it's just, so thank you to Alina. And also on the panel last night was our own Melanie Roth-Gorelick at the Jewish Council for Public Affairs. Thank you, Melanie, for your work. And we did thank her with Messenger and Professor Kara Suval and all of the panelists as well that were there, Tal and Lauren. So thank you all into this cup of blessing. Vayerev vayevoker yom hashishi vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vaychal Elohim vayom hashvi'i melachto asher asach vayishbos vayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asach vayivarech Elohim es yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oso ki vo shavas mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot tzavri
L'chaim.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho b'ahava uvratzon yichilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים.
אתה יוסנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, Sharon. Good Shabbos, Lena. Good Shabbos, and Joni. Shabbos, Holly. Shabbos, Jonathan and Karen. Good Shabbos. Barbara, thank you also, Barbara. Last night, so beautiful. Keith and Barbara. Shabbat Shalom, Kevin. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbos, Rani. Whoa, good Shabbos, holy people. So good to see you. Shabbos, and congratulations, Sharon. Good Shabbos, Rachel, Ramit. Shabbat Shalom, Neshama, and Jory. Shabbos, neighbor Kim. Good Shabbos, Nancy. Oh, la, la, eh, la, la, eh. Eh, la, 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 eh. Shabbos, Tal, Yasha, Kochech. Oh, good Shabbos, Ariella. Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbos, Valerie. And Mallory. Shabbos, Mallory. Anna Luisa. Camila, baby, Renee, and Adam. Oh, this is Romemu. Resh. Rani and Joe, Adina. Good Shabbos, friends. Shabbos, Lisa.
The chant's ready and delicious.
Can't wait.